Well,
But
nice to see you.
hi, it's nice to meet you.
You as well. Thanks for taking the time.
Of course, you too. So, how are you excited for the show tonight?
I am. It'll be interesting to see,
Mm,
you know, how resilient the New Yorkers are. They're
yeah.
pretty resilient people, but like
Mhm.
when I say it hasn't stopped raining, it's just sort of been consistent the whole day. So hopefully they'll come out. And sometimes it's like anything in life. Sometimes these sorts of things create a sort of a do or die attitude where people are like, hey, if I'm going to come out there, I know what I'm getting myself in for. And they're just so excited to be there. So I'm hoping that that's the case, that they come out
Yes, I'm sure everyone
ready and
will
raring
still
to
come
go.
out.
What's that?
I'm sure everyone will still come out tonight.
I hope so. I hope so.
So, how's your new single been?
Well, good so far. I mean, we're a little under 2 weeks in, 2 days shy of 2 weeks in.
Hmm.
And it's always a bit daunting. You as an artist would know, you release something to the world, be it something spoken or music or a film or whatever. There's always this vulnerability of like, are they going to receive it? Are they going to accept it? How are they going to respond to it?
Hmm.
But so far it's just been kind of outrageously kind, and the song was written in kind of an autobiographical state where we looked back on the intensity of the last year that the whole world has faced,
Hmm.
and really questions. And I don't have the answer. I'm asking the question, as is Luke, as an artist and as a band, saying, hey, how do you relate when someone looks different from you or thinks different from you and acts different from you? How do you not just tolerate them, but how do you actually relate to them? And I think people are embarking on that question with us. And I think people are showing a bit of empathy and compassion along the way. And I think I love that,
Yes, I love that too. I watched your music video and I love how like it was executed. Did you guys have a vision for that, or like did it all come together? How did it go?
Yeah, well, we worked with, so Luke and I are brothers.
Hmm.
There's 5 brothers total and 2 sisters.
Oh,
So there's 7 of us.
yes.
And we work very closely with our brother Ben. He does a lot of film work.
Okay.
And he sort of had the initial idea of, you have a building, and it's interesting, you call all the different levels of a building, you call them stories.
Hmm.
And so you thought, well, how fascinating would it be that as you sort of descend through this building of life,
Hmm.
if every story or level told the snapshot of someone's journey. And it's a great concept, but I got to tell you, Natalie, it was incredibly complicated to film because every single shot, you couldn't pull stock footage or you couldn't pull it from anywhere else. You had to create it just in the nature of how the camera moved.
Hmm.
And so it was very audacious. We shot out in Los Angeles, actually in Skid Row, which had its own sort of slightly tragic charm to it, just in the nature of the video, And once again, I scanned through the YouTube comments the other day and just so touched with how many different people, which was the hopes, how many different people, groups, different people from different walks of life see themselves in the video. That's what you want, is for people to actually, no pun intended, but relate to what
Hmm.
you're doing,
Yes, that's very cute. So how have your shows been? Have you had a lot of shows since you began going out?
We started doing shows again about a month ago, and almost all of them have been outdoors
Hmm.
by nature of being the summer, and also just with COVID, just a little bit safer to have everyone outdoors versus in an air-conditioned building. And it's been like a great adventure, dear. It's had all of its It's had the really hot days. It's had the rainy days. It's had the buses breaking down and being up at 4 a.m. And there have been days where the food's been great and not so great. But I think the one thing that's been really consistent is the folks that have come out have been so impacted and so thrilled to just be able to safely gather again. And you realize when you think about the last year and the fact that there's been so many things that were lost in this last year, but one of them is the beauty and synergy that happens when you put a bunch of people together in the same place. And so to be able to experience that again after it was taken from us is very, it's a beautiful thing.
Yes. How was the first show back? Where was it?
Well, it's kind of tough to answer because we had a few like fragmented shows in different places. And they were sort of spread out over the country at different points in the earlier half of this year. The first shows being back on this run, we were doing a bunch of fairs, was similar to this one. But they were great. They were just blazing hot. Like,
yes.
And we're a pretty active band, so there's a lot of movement on stage. So there's part of it that, you know, was a little bit hard to make it through, but the audience and the spirit of the night got us to the finish line.
Has there been like one specific show that stood out to you?
Yeah, we were up in Minnesota, as they say, last week. And it was between 13 and 15,000 people there. It was sold out. It was on the water. It was outside the festival. And like tonight, there were a lot of people that were just sort of packed up in this front area. So that was standing room only. And there was this one girl that held up a sign midway through the night that read, you know, your music has literally saved my life. And she handed me a note as I was sort of coming back on the runway or the catwalk or whatever you call it.
Yes.
And her name was Mariah, which is the same name as my wife, spelt in the same fashion with an O instead of an A. And she shared with me that she'd had an abusive boyfriend who was actually pushing her into trafficking. So basically to selling her to other men. And our music and some of the messages behind it gave her the fortitude and the strength to be able to step away from that really destructive relationship. And so that was a powerful message for us. And it's nights like that and moments like that where you just sort of amazed that a song that you write, you know, in the back lounge of a bus or in a studio can have the impact that it has.
Yes, that's awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to share about the journey that you've had?
No, I would just like to say that Florida is a great place. It's very similar to some areas of Australia, and it's one of our favorite states to come and perform in. So we're looking forward to making our way back down to you. And I want to say thank you, Natalie, for your time and for
you too.
all the work that you do.